So welcome back. We're gonna start again. As we want to keep some time at the end of the day, we will go directly to the project. So please help me welcome the first team of this afternoon, Project Izaline.
The things we would do for love, the extent we would go to for our significant others. What would you sacrifice on the altar of love? To Enara, our protagonist, the answer is simple. Every last piece of our humanity. Welcome to Project Izaline. Project Izaline is a fast-paced first-person slasher, involving melee-only combat and parkour exploration phases. Playable with either keyboard and mouse or a game controller, the game is destined to both PC and current-gen consoles. As a single-player-only experience, this doubly sized project will come with a roughly 10 hours long story mode and several other game modes, such as wave or parkour mode.
The game experience is being built with 4 pillars in mind. Fast-paced melee combat, a fast and nimble character controller allowing intense parkour action, vertical exploration phases allowing players to reach new heights and views, and the protagonist's evolution through her mutation, transforming from a prey to a predator, both physically and mentally, to adapt to the world around her. Our game tells the story of Izaline and Enara, lovers living in the village of Osrin, under the remote control of an authoritarian power. One day, Izaline disappears, without leaving any clue. Enara cannot stay idle and sets out to find her, venturing in the deadly wasteland that separates settlements. There, feral creatures are only met with deadly security systems from the authoritarian power, in an attempt to pacify the wasteland. As a mere human cannot survive this area, she receives help from a mysterious stranger and mutates, gaining new abilities that allow her to survive her environment, growing razor-sharp claws and gaining abilities beyond human. These mutations are the core of our experience, as they will dedicate the game feel. Enara's abilities will evolve as she mutates. She will gain effectiveness, additional charge, or special effects as she grows more powerful and threatening. Enara's core action are the offensive moves, claw attack and dash, and the troublesome moves, dodge, wall run, jumps, and slide. The vertical slice showcases 2 stages of Enara's mutations, from an early mutation up to a mid-game stage with most of Enara's abilities unlocked. Some of the strongest evolutions are not available.
So the first enemy Enara will encounter is automated turrets, the defense system that keeps the wasteland pacified. Those automated turrets are characterized by their inability to move, their weak hulls that cannot sustain much damage, and 2 daily ranged fire modes. The first one is a powerful shot that can kill most targets on it, but have a slow fire rate as it needs to charge. And the second one is a burst of weaker projectiles at high speed to engage faster targets. However, those are not the only dangers on the wasteland, because mutated creatures also claim hold of this area. In our vertical slice, we did implement the Wasteland Beholder, a slimy creature with unique features such as hovering over the ground, and a strong slimy body, but no attack on its own. However, it managed to take control of several turrets of the area, and it carries it on its back. It's very territorial. It can usually be found guarding an area and putting itself at optimal range to allow its assimilated turrets to take down intruders while remaining safe. Killing enemies empowers Enara's mutation for a short time, bringing her to a state of battle frenzy, as we call it, as she unleashes the monster within. In terms of mechanics, this translates to an immediate reward for each kill, being a reset of every active ability's cooldown, and a burst of damage as she chain kills enemies. This allows for creative ways to explore levels, as some enemies might be used as a cooldown reset to dash and jump forward and higher. When close to death's door, Enara's survival instinct kicks in, giving her an extra edge over difficult situations. When adrenaline rush kicks in, time slows for everything except Enara, allowing her to move faster than foes and help her evade projectiles. However, this ability taps into Enara's deepest resources and needs a cooldown before being available again. Now that we covered our mechanics, we'll demonstrate our vertical slice through 2 chapters of our game. The first one is the chapter 2, showing an early stage of the game and focusing on narration, and the chapter 7 display a more advanced mutation and mid-game focused on our gameplay pillars.
My head. Hello? Is anybody here? These posters date back from the war. Damn it. Lights! Someone lives here! Hey! Hello?
Yeah?
I'm looking for someone.
You damn freak. Get away from my doorstep.
Please, sir. Have you heard of a certain Izaline?
Huh? Izaline? She's been dead for years.
No. That's impossible. She's been missing from my village for 3 days.
If your girlfriend left, she's probably dead now. Buckless brothers are the only ones able to frolic around.
Valklars?
The PSSA family are saviors. Now, get away.
We will find you. I promise. Rats! She looks just like Izaline. Relative?
Junk.
This new power. It's quite something.
PSSA, as always.
What the hell does that mean? happened here?
I will find you.
The story takes place years after a great war that destroyed almost everything. PSSA, Pacifying Security System and Arms, a high-tech company specialized in weapons, is the only winner. The Vaucluse family owning it has built an empire over the few apocalyptic ruins remaining. Nowadays, the PSSA is run by the two brothers who inherited the lineage, Hector and Aristide. Aristide is a powerful and impressive man. As the head of the company, he represents Vaucluse family's strength. He craves power above all else and will spare no effort to expand his empire to everything that exists. Hector is talented and discreet. His greatest obsession is to bring his dead daughter back, no matter the cost. His daughter, Izaline Vaucluse, is the decayed heir of the PSSA lineage. Since she passed away, Hector spent his life trying to bring her back by any means possible. However, none of her artificial version matched his expectations. Taking Aristide's advice, he sent child version of her to every existing settlement, allowing her to grow and build a personality. Living in the Osrine has given this Izaline the ability to feel empathy and love, making the experiment a success. Hector gets her back from the village, putting Enara's story in motion. Project Izaline narratives focus on the concept of love and its limits. Enara's and Hector's struggle are similar. They are both looking for something they have lost and are both willing to get beyond limits for the sole purpose of saving a loved one. Our game also highlights the notion of identity. While Enara is greatly transformed into a monster, she will discover that Izaline is a doll, designed with the same mutation as her.
The artistic direction leans towards a semi-realistic style, with some elements being more realistic and others more stylized, like the character and the VFX. The environments for the full game will include the deserted village and its surrounding forest, a huge wasteland with abandoned cities, and a huge metropolitan city. For the vertical slice, we'll focus on an industrial abandoned town within the wasteland. Here are some examples of in-game environments.
Our project has huge need in terms of environment art, which requires specific attention. To summarize our need, as we express them at the beginning, We needed to iterate as fast and often as possible on levels to be able to test the character controller and fine-tune it as much as needed. We needed to save time for both game artists and game designers, as they would have several other tasks than just building and adjusting the levels. Finally, those levels still needed to output large and convincing cities environments to match with our artistic direction and ambition for the project. Thus, we've decided to take a procedural approach using Houdini and its integration capacity within Unreal Engine. The goal was not to generate procedurally the city and props, but to give tools to the artists and designers so they can be more efficient in their workflow and create large environments faster without losing time on repetitive tasks. Here are a few screenshots taken while developing the building assistant tool. Our workflow was the following. Step 1, level designers build a blockout using Unreal Engine basic geometry. Step 2, the building assistant tool turns this blockout into buildings, allowing for a first draft of level art in which to test the controller. Those two steps can be iterated on quickly and as often as possible, only requiring the press of a button once the blockout is laid out. Step 3, once level designers and level artists are satisfied with the draft provided by our tool, level artists add various props and elements to the existing draft. Using this workflow, we could quickly iterate and save precious time to our design and art team. Now to show you the tool in action, here is what our environment looked like before and after using it.
Enara's mutation evolved throughout the game, getting closer and closer to a monstrous nature as she gets stronger, while having to fight harder and harder to keep her mind under control. The claws always keep a curvy but sharp aspect, expressing both power and agility. The vertical slice focuses on two stages of the mutation, the early stage on the left and the medium stage on the right. Here's a peek of what the claw looks like in-game. You can see Enara's mutation quickly taking over her body. The power coming with this mutation will allow Enara to slash through dangerous foes. In the full game, enemies will take many forms, several automated security systems, guards from the authoritarian powers, or creatures in the wasteland. In our vertical slice, we focused on the automatic turrets and the wasteland beholder.
To match the visual style, all sound follow semi-realistic to realistic artistic direction. Sounds evolve with Enara's mutation. As her appearance and abilities evolve, she will sound more and more monstrous and threatening. Enemies have clear, specific audio things and feedbacks to accommodate our UX needs. In the full game, sounds will vary depending on environments, and the closer Enara gets to the technological megapolis, the more out of place she will feel. In the vertical slice, sounds and ambiances emphasize the oppressing and hostile atmosphere of the ruined city.
All our concept and decision were made with a user-centric approach in mind, focusing on our two target personas. We define them to translate the developer intention as clearly as possible toward users. The fast-paced, nervous gameplay fan, as well as the ravager enjoying aggressive gameplay and violence. Let's see what we got out of our test so far. Our first playtest, conducted in early December, were made to test our controller. Overall, our tester felt the verticality and freedom brought by this character controller. And our agility was clearly perceived, and the controller was responsive and satisfying to play. Our key improvement points were the character speed, the overall use of the slide ability, the wall ride that wasn't always responsive as well as the dash distance and cooldown. We have been working on those points since our first playtest in early December, and kept testing and iterating ever since. After many iterations, we conducted our second playtest in mid-January. Feedback was very satisfying. Our changes corrected most things players disliked or did not understand. Thus, our slide and wall run features were much easier to use. Additionally, combat was well balanced and fun for players on our first try. However, the character's base speed is still a bit unsatisfying, and the dash requires a bit more fine-tuning. We have been at work on this since the second playtest. In order to reach a wider audience, we designed and iterated several accessibility features for Project Izaline. Our priority was set on colorblindness features, remapping, and subtitles. Here's a peek of what our features look like in the game. This is the colorblind feature. And this is the remapping option. And finally, the subtitle option. However, we did a lot more work since last time. Our main objective was to add cognitive help features, for instance, a pause menu, training wheels, as well as features to reduce motion sickness, such as field of view adjustment, and the possibility to disable most of visual effects. Several other visual features, such as brightness, enemy highlight, and HUD indicator, have been integrated and are now fully working. Here is a quick peek at our option menu, including visual option, sound option, HUD option, subtitle option, control option, and the ability to play in a training level.
We conducted a few studies on our competitors and inspirations and see how Project Izaline would fare against those. Our key concept for competitors would be the fast FPS genre, either in combat, traversal, or both, as well as melee first-person games. With this in mind, we identified those 10 competitors that would be interesting to compare to our game. Then, we placed those games and Project Izaline according to two axes. Multiple path versus linear levels on the vertical axis, and first-person melee versus first-person ranged combat on the horizontal axis. As shown in this graph, Project Izaline aims to keep a fast-paced experience while offering multiple paths to discover. Our approach of the genre aims to tap into what's familiar to players and bring a fresh new experience at the same time. We are now able to present an estimated production planning according to our estimation of the project's cost. Depending on the reinforcement we are able to recruit, we estimate the full production, vertical slice included, to take 30 months. This would set the delivery date around March 2025. To dive a bit further into details, let's dive into one production unit's planning. One production unit in Project Izaline is one area in the game. It features endemic enemies, dangers, and level architecture, as well as Enara's mutation evolution, meaning the unlocking of new abilities or modifying existing ones, as well as story progress. One unit takes 5 months to produce, including 2 playtests integrated into our workflow and allowing us to fine-tune every element to match our target users' needs. So depending on the budget we can unlock, we prioritized our needs for reinforcements. We estimate our core reinforcements needs to be in the level design and art sections. We can also use the help of an AI programmer to help us make enemies more interesting and challenging, as well as that of a music composer. With this in mind, and studying the average prices of similar games, we project to sell Project Izaline for €29.99, with the release week sale bringing the price down to $19.99. At this price, we can expect our game to reach a break-even point just below 96,000 units. This takes into account that 80% of our sales will happen at a discounted price. The data used to estimate the production cost is from the SNJV 2020 reference book for video games worker average wages. In comparison with estimated Steam sales of recent games of the same genre, we are confident our game can reach its break-even point and become profitable. Please note this study covers development costs only. Additional marketing and communication costs will occur as we get closer to releasing the full game. Thank you for your attention, and now is the time to listen to your questions and inputs.
First comment or question.
Hi, I'm Leonard. I'm a producer at PLESSIER. First of all, congratulations. That was quite impressive. I actually want to try it. My question is about more advanced features. How do you plan on rewarding mastery in a game, and how do you expect advanced user playthrough to be different in the action the player perform than the beginner?
Hello, thank you for the question and the feedback. We had an exercise to design a bitmap to place different kind of rewards, like you didn't see on the first part because there were not staged to show it in full display, but there is an evolution of the controller and through the world game. Enaras will win new skills, but also power-ups for those skills for the game. And so just playing will be more rewarding on its own. You will
be able to cover larger distances, make wreckage more intense, and discover new enemies. Does it answer your question?
Part of it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Vincent from Ubisoft. Congratulations. I really liked what I see, especially because you worked a lot on level design. And we can see it. I also really like the way you set up your priorities in order to be able to quickly create your level art around your LD and mechanics. Congratulations, that's it.
Thank you.
I'm just running to the next question. I need some abilities.
Good presentation, quite liked it. I think you've got some good stuff there. I was concerned about orientation. So as a player, I saw that you were doing things with arrows on walls, which is a good solution maybe, but I don't understand the context of it. So unless the story reinforces the reason that there's arrows on the walls, you're putting a game interface into the environment. If that was unified, I would better understand it. And it didn't seem to be sufficient in and of itself, because there's lots of times even was the character where they had to turn 360 degrees to find the next arrow. What are your strategies? What are your plans? Where do you want to go with that?
So yes, that's a good question. The idea for the vertical slice is to mix speed of traversal. So we want to be able to dictate a path to the player without specifically being focused on the narrative integration of the vertical slice in the universe. There are several points of narrative, as you saw with the posters, the voice lines and such, but we also tried to test things, as it was the point of the exercise, if we were able to guide players without them feeling like we're taking them by the hand. We tried a mix. We still need to work on that also.
And where do you want to take it?
We are several on the project. I cannot answer that alone.
We had clues mostly with the level art and how lights and effects would guide the player, but obviously, as you've seen, it's still on the works. So we don't have a precise answer as of now.
Hello. Actually, I'm going to continue asking you a question about this, because this is really interesting for your type of game. So for now, by the way, congrats on the presentation. I only saw the first presentation, so it's quite a gap, and I'm quite happy that you managed to develop and finish your procedural tool. It's great, but it feels a little bit like a procedural mismatch of a lot of things for now. And the level design, I think it's a level designer game right now. It's like you understand, you get the 3 C's, great. Like I think this is well done. But the building have a meaning. And to double down on what my colleague was saying, it's you need to be able to orientate yourself just by the architecture around you, at least. And if it's not enough, because your place is too destroyed or whatever happened in it, you need to try to find visual language. So arrows, it's okay. It's a bit in your face, but it's okay. But there are many ways to do this kind of stuff, and you need to think about something because you are not doing a linear experience. This is at the complete opposite of what you're doing. So I guess it's going to be some kind of open world-ish section of game, kinda. So you need to find a way for your player to get orientated, yeah, in it. So it goes through visual language. It's not only lighting and stuff. So if you want to try to iterate on it, this is a very critical point, specifically because you want something that is open worldish. So, or you will lose your player in your city because it's pretty procedural at the moment. So yeah.
Thank you for the feedback. Obviously, these specific signs are something we want to iterate on and develop further as we go down the line.
Hello, Gaston, user researcher at Ubisoft Bordeaux. Congratulations for the presentation. It was impressive, indeed. I just had one question just to clarify something regarding your intentions in terms of still linked to the whole orientation thing. Because I think I remembered when you presented the marketing graph that you were at the top of the multiple path in your levels, but in the vertical slice it seems quite linear to me. What are the intentions? Like, will I have, as a player, in terms of user experience, will I have to choose which way I'm going at the end of the level? What is the point of taking one way and another?
So the point, since we plan to have multiple paths, and there was a kind of secret passage that we started building, but couldn't show you in the vertical slice because it wasn't done. The idea would be to reward players that have a better mastering of the character controller with faster ways that allow them to maybe avoid dangerous zones and get faster to a certain point. So we should have some harder path that look harder and that's harder to find, that player can go through if they choose so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Hello, Lucille from Counting Dream. I have questions about your artistic direction consistency. You mentioned that you used procedural tools in order to build faster, but yet your presentation have lots of missing assets. As you are working with tools, please do not forget that we need as players landmarks. It will allow you to have objective. It will allow you also to have something which feels lively, even if it's a post-apocalyptic environment. You need something to motivate the player to explore the bit of parkour you had. And globally, I was even wondering why you showed us the last 5 minutes, because we get almost immediately your core gameplay, your movements, it was cool, but after you showed us almost unfinished level design. How do you manage to have big levels? How you will have some assets? Which kind of assets you need to put now?
So to answer sequentially to what you said, about our level design, we insisted on showing the full thing because part of it was a demonstration of our level art, and we also wanted to show several gameplay parts and using the controller differently. For example, with the big slide part and the whole wall running over the over dangerous cliffs. About this level art, the tool was made to generate buildings using some assets that were fed to it. So we still need to iterate on coherence, as you mentioned it earlier. So it gives it less of a procedurally generated aspect, but this is to be worked. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you very much for this presentation. I join to all the compliments you had so far. I see here on your last slide that you say it's a fast-paced FPS first-person slasher, and looking at the presentation, I had the feeling that it was quite easy, and maybe that it was a better strategy to avoid everything. How do you think on the level design to maybe change that? Because right now I was more looking at maybe mirror edge clone than really a Doom, you know, where you're really on contact. And I also was surprised with the arms movements. I think we really see it. I think it's a good thing. Maybe it's a little too much, I don't know. Thank you.
Thanks for the feedback. First of all, it's not as easy as it looks. Every player of playtest, and if you want to try it after the presentation, you will find it's not as easy. We have a lot of experience. As you saw, we have two personas for our target audience. The first one like to do parkour, the second one like to do destructions. Arthur, correct me if I'm wrong, but the playtest showcased that half of the player want to destroy everything they can, the other dodge things and focus more on the parkour while avoiding the combat phases. So I don't think it is mandatory to force the players to take part of the combat if they don't want it. In our vertical slice, it made no point. For the full length of the game, we might have sections that need it, but here it was more trying to get interesting in whatever option you took.
Hello, Mélène, I'm freelancing in marketing. I do have a question for the launch discount you planned, because it's like 30%, something like that. And I'm curious about the, like, why did you choose to do that?
Thanks for the question. We conducted a study on other AA games and price they would sell at. So you can see Project Izaline being on the right. Those are sorted by release date. So we were merely aligning with the prices of similar games and what they've done on their sales price over the first 2 years of release.
Okay, yeah, but first 2 years is different from launch. So for launch, you should not plan more than 10%. So yeah, like, don't do a really deep discount just for launch. Wait for like longer period.
All right, thanks for the advice.
Final comment or question?
Hello, Salome from Ubisoft. Thank you for amazing presentation. It looks like say a great takeout and level design job. Very, very interesting. It's hard to do those kind of things, to populate the world with these procedural buildings. You know, it's very interesting. Of course, we can see there is some missing points in the orientation, in the logic of the landscape, of the buildings, to really know where to go, why we are going so vertically. Even if there is, at some point you have an interesting scene with people in the house, but it's very downstairs, you know. So maybe it could have been a good idea to put at the top of a building. But yeah, so you have lots of work to still do, you know. But I really love the move. I think you did lots of improvement on the move of the player with the camera as well. Maybe you need to add some more FX for the feedback, especially with the claw when you move, when you use it on the walls. I think it could add a lot. You did it to showcase the speed. It's cool. And yeah, I think you improve lots of things. The turrets, I love that. They behave very well. It's very fun to see that. So it was a great job as well. Lots of things to do to guide the player and to add some logical things and lively things in the art, in the world. but it was kind of impressive anyway. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, and we're gonna save some time so the people can come and test it and see it's not so easy. So thank you. Let's congratulate the team. And let's welcome the second team of this afternoon. What's the tea?